Okay, today's World Microbiome Day, so happy World Microbiome Day. My name is Tommy Heffern, I'm a vet, and about 18 months ago I started getting to work with a company called Precision Microbes and applying microbes in trials, and I've been working with them ever since. And this is a brain, as I'll explain later on, but my mind has been totally blown by the potential application of microbes and understanding their functions in our cells, animals, soil. The potential is absolutely massive. So being World Microbiome Day, it's just a little bit about what I've learned, and I think really the applications, particularly as we talk about sustainability, are potentially massive. My interest in the microbiome was probably preceded when I started working with them 18 months ago. I had become fascinated with some of the conditions I'd seen increasing year on year in grazing livestock, like pica, cows eating stones, summer scour syndrome, CCN in calves, and other conditions. And as I wanted to investigate the root cause, because I think it's always important to get to the root cause of problems, it actually brought me all the way back to soil health, would you believe? Not so much the plant. And I was learning that the plant exudes 30% of its energy through its root, quite purposefully, to feed the soil microbiome, all these trillions of microbes in the soil, these fungal networks that are key to plant health. And it's funny when you look at the different roles of microbes in different areas. One of the things that's very common in all areas, be it the gut, the environment, or in soil, is that they have very similar roles. They're involved in digestion and nutrition for the plant. They provide immunity and protection against harmful pests and pathogens. And none of us would be here without these innate defenses that microbes provide. And when you look at the root and that energy being produced in the root, and a healthy soil microbiome, we think about soil even as a sponge for carbon. The importance I began to realize for our grazing livestock is not so much above the ground, but under the ground as well. And I think it's really exciting when we look at what's needed for soil health, and we look at root being in the ground, the varying diversity of species, and I think that will equate itself all the way back to the animals that are grazing. If I look at cows, and I love cows, I always say we're not really feeding the cows, we're feeding the trillions of microbes in the rumen and digestive tract. Understanding again the potential applications of microbes when we look at health, welfare, greenhouse gas emissions, really important research been done in the area of the rumen and rumen health, and in calves I've seen it firsthand, the potential role for microbes as well. It's really fascinating when you look at microbes can be in our oceans, environmental microbes, the application of microbes controlling, I suppose, like a petri dish, controlling microbes in the environment. I've read thousands of research papers across humans and animals now, reading about the use of microbes, even in surgeries, to, again, like a petri dish, controlling the microbiome. When it gets really fascinating as well, we look at ourselves, the function of the gut microbiome. One of the most exciting areas of research globally. Metagenomics now has allowed us to understand what microbes are where. We really have a good profile of microbes and the potential different roles. Metabolomics is allowing us to understand the metabolic functions, and I'll talk about that as well, of various microbes. But fascinating when you look at human and animal gut health. Again, the gut microbiome, it's really, I suppose, when we talk about microbes, we talk about viruses, bacteria, protozoa, and fungi. But really, a lot of it is beneficial bacteria. And if you think about the gut microbiome itself, it's almost like another organ. The gut microbiome signifies this collection of microbes that are acting and working with the host. And they play three key roles in gut health in our cells and animals. They're absolutely key to digestion and digestive health, producing enzymes and other metabolites that help regulate metabolism. 70% or over 70% of our immune system's in the gut. If we think about outside exposure and where our immune system needs to be, and we think about the length of our gut in animals and our cells, and that exposed tissue and those exposed cells, it makes sense that a lot of our white blood cells and lymphocytes are gut-based, the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. So with 70% of the immunity being gut-based and the gut microbiome being a key component to regulating immune function, you can see why gut health is so important to immunity. Again, we must understand the role of good and bad microbes, and I use very simple tools, World Microbiome Day, get out your coloured balls, to explain about good and bad bacteria. Understanding the role of good bacteria, the green guys here, competing with harmful pathogens in our digestive tracts, in our environment, again, even in the root of plants. And it's really fascinating when you look at the potential for enhanced gut health across all species. If you look at how we get our gut microbiome by vaginal delivery, if we look at the challenges we see maybe around chronic disease and autoimmune disease, we look at the modern diet and the impact it has on metabolic health and our gut microbiomes. Again, metagenomics has allowed us to compare Western diets with maybe traditional lifestyle populations. Again, seeing that narrowing of our gut microbiome, the change, and it's very, very easy to track it with chronic disease issues. So really interesting when you look at the link between microbes, animals we produce, the forages we produce, and human health and the gut microbiome. I often, in simple terms, when I think about the gut and being the core of metabolism and health, and we think about it like a sponge. So we want that sponge to be optimally performing and absorbing all the nutrients we need from our diet. There's so many things that can negatively impact our gut. And if we think about this is a gut here. If we think about the negative impacts, diet is probably number one. Stress, the environment. In our animals, it's quite similar. So there's lots of challenges to gut health. Hippocrates said almost 2,000 years ago that all diseases begin in the gut. I'm beginning to believe that the potential to flip that on its head is all health can start in the gut. So we look at how we can positively impact gut health. Diet is number one, but there is ways, and I've seen it happen, that we can positively impact gut health. If we think about humans and animals, it's not just gut-based. Some of the feedback that I got on early on from people on Precision Microbes equine product was the coat of the horse is changing. That was similar in pets. It was a very visual response. And it's simply what we're doing is we're really optimizing that gut health, that sponge. And if you do that, well then the absorptive capacity of the gut, digestive health improving, immune regulation, you're going to see all these added benefits. There's even a connection between that brain I talked about and gut. So a lot of our neurotransmitter and hormones are produced in the gut. Most of the happiness hormone, serotonin, is actually produced in the gut. We've that vagus nerve, that direct highway between our gut health and our brain health. The whole area of psychobiotics absolutely been led by APC Microbiome in Cork and UCC. Again, looking at that gut health and that gut-brain axis. And again, we've all experienced that gut feeling, be it positive or negative. So it's fascinating when you look at the role of these microbes. It said we're 10% human. If you look at the bacterial DNA that we have in us compared to our own DNA, there's no comparison. And they're very purposefully acting. And we want to look at how we can positively impact it. So on World Microbiome Day, what I have seen has truly blown my mind. And it's really about understanding how we can use beneficial microbes to enhance gut health. We've done it in Precision Microbes in calves, we're doing it in the equine world, we're doing it in pet, we have so many other trials. But also I've seen it in forages, in slurry, environmental microbes. By looking at different microbial populations, looking at the format we use them in, particularly live microbes, we can really be game changing. So back to gut health, what are the practical applications? Well, we have to look at, metagenomics certainly has allowed us to understand that each of us as individuals can vary, our animals can vary, but metabolomics has also let us understand that the good bacteria, we talk about the good and the bad, the good bacteria are producing metabolites, and the functionality of these bacteria doesn't vary as much as maybe the species. And if we can think about these metabolites is really key. So we brought a liquid pro and postbiotic to the marketplace. The postbiotics the bacteria produce, bacteria are like factories, they ferment fiber and other substances, prebiotics, to produce metabolites. If we think about these metabolites and having them in our liquids, well, that's really key because they're involved in digestive function, enzyme production, the bactericins and entericins that compete with harmful pathogens. Having them in the liquid is really, really key. It's the functionality of gut health. I've seen that. I've seen it practically on calf health when we're looking at repairing and stabilizing the gut with pro and postbiotics, having live bacteria in a dormant state in liquid, meaning that they're acid adapted, meaning that they're actually getting to the place that they're supposed to work. The trial work I did was starting to blow my mind, and I think what really, I suppose 20 years qualified as a vet and got to travel all over the world. When you see feedback from customers, and you can go to Precision Microbes website to listen to it, you really start to understand that we have something very special and game changing when it comes to positively enhancing gut health. This basic still across all species around management and diet are still key, but if we can add something in biologically challenged systems that is a natural solution, well then I think we're way ahead of the game. And I think one of the things that has been challenging me as a vet, or people have challenged me about, is this idea that when you're talking about beneficial microbes, it's you're in the space of alternative medicine. I often talk to people, and I think it's apt on World Microbiome Day to look at two postbiotic metabolites people will know. Penicillin rubicans was a fungus, a metabolite of that later became known as penicillin, an antibiotic. Another postbiotic people will know was discovered from a Streptomyces bacteria by a Japanese professor called Satoshi Amuro. And that postbiotic metabolite became ivermectin. What is truly fascinating is because of metabolomics, we are now understanding the functionality of these good bacteria, these good microbes, and we're seeing all the benefits. And I think understanding that nature itself has so many of the biological solutions we need, be it in our soil, our oceans, our environments, our animals, and ourselves. It is about harnessing it. We still need to accept the basics. I often talk about being brilliant at the basics around diet, managing stress, and all those factors. But to be involved in a project that's really changing the game in gut health. What I've learned about microbes and their potential has been absolutely fascinating and blown my mind. So on World Microbiome Day, I'd like to pay tribute to the microbes and really, I suppose, ask people to pay attention to this space because it is a really, really interesting one. Whether it's the work we're doing at Precision Microbes, where it's just general gut health, with understanding that even our animal systems, if you look at them as a microbiome in the whole, and that could be intensive systems, less intensive systems, indoors, outdoors, really accelerating what nature is doing, understanding it, applying those principles, and I think everyone's talking about sustainability, and I like action, and I like being involved in actually where the rubber meets the road, and where the rubber meets the road in the gut is the postbiotic metabolites. That's what's acting at gut level, and I think Precision Microbes who really are where the rubber meets the road, making a difference on farm and pet health and equine health. You can follow our journey on www.precisionmicrobes.com, and I'll be continuing to talk about microbes. Happy World Microbiome Day. To all the researchers out there, I've got to work with several of them in Precision Microbes. Keep up the good work, because it's just research that we're learning and understanding, pushing the boundaries of what we know and providing sustainable and biological solutions that are absolutely game changing.